I would not be where I am right now without going through that. But yeah, sometimes you've just got to have those really, really bad, life-changing days in order to see better times. So I'm Maddy, my pronouns are they, them, I'm non-binary. I've been working with Sparta now since August 2021. I'm a career changer. I used to work in operations and finance after taking a couple of years out sick due to different chronic illnesses at the time. Basically was like, I want to do something I'm actually interested in, and sort of rebuilt my career from there. And Sparta has been the perfect sort of launching point to actually getting into industry. So I'm going to be completely candid here. When I applied to Sparta, I'm going to be honest, I thought it was a scam. I'd gone through a period of applying for, God, I don't even know how many companies I'd been applying for, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I sent in an application just to sort of see what would happen. Turns out it was the best thing I ever did. I was very impressed with the intake process because it was one of the most inclusive ones that I've ever been involved in. At the time, I'd only recently been diagnosed with ADHD. Like, we're talking, I think it may have even been like only a week before I sent off my application, like very, very recent. And so I very nearly didn't disclose that I had ADHD because I'd never discussed it, and there was still that sort of stigma around it. The talent engagement person that I was working with was incredible, went through the interview process, was very open with it. When I told them about my ADHD, they were like, yeah, no, that's fine. If all goes well, we'll put you in touch with our ED&I and HR and talk about how we can support you, blah, 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 which was fantastic. It was a breath of fresh air. Ironically enough, my first job was as a cleaner within a serviced office company because it's really hard to find your first job as someone who isn't from the UK and so hasn't got any references or applicable job experience. So you just kind of take what you can to get started. And luckily they had a job opening within, I think, 3 months of me starting for a receptionist / customer service advisor. And so I went for it because I knew I could do it. I was working on computers and answering phones. And got the job and basically went from there. I worked with that company for quite a few years in different locations, sort of slowly moving up. That all kind of changed in 2016, unfortunately. So I started to get ill due to a chronic illness. I have idiopathic intracranial hypertension, which sounds very complicated, but basically it causes chronic headaches and migraines. And it can affect my vision sometimes, but it pretty much means that I've got too much fluid around my brain and in my spinal cavity, and my body doesn't know what to do with it. Took a very long time to get diagnosed, and unfortunately at the time I was working for a company that was not supportive of hybrid work, of flexible working, basically wasn't supportive at all. And after sort of 6 months of trying to manage hospital appointments, doctor's appointments, like working from home when I was too ill to travel in. Unfortunately, they pretty illegally made me redundant, which was life-changing. The day that I was made redundant, I did what I normally did. I walked from the embankment office to Blackfriars Station. Obviously, I was a complete at the time, absolutely wrecked. I mean, I was getting sicker and sicker all the time. I had no answers for what was causing it. I was losing so many aspects of myself, and so it was a real life-changing day that has still stuck with me and still sticks with me, especially since now with my current role I commute into Blackfriars Station every day, which was the ending point of the walk that day. So it's nice to sort of see how it's come full circle, and sort of the work I've done between that day, which was probably the lowest day, not just professionally, but for me personally, because I felt like I'd lost my way, I'd lost where I was going, and then sort of coming back around and being there now and being I am so much different from the person that I was then in so many ways. I would not be where I am right now without going through that. But yeah, sometimes you've just got to have those really, really bad, life-changing days in order to see better times. I had a long time to really consider and be like, when I return to work, because that was the mentality that I had to have, of when I return to work, what do I actually want to do? And so I went back and I was like, look, what are the things that interest me? And I sort of had a flash of memory of when I was sort of 13, 14, very early days of the internet, where I spent a good chunk of time teaching myself how to code very basic HTML pages. And I was like, right, well, why don't I visit that? Because I knew that tech careers were more flexible. I knew that there were more options available. I knew that there was more likely to be hybrid or remote working. So that was a big motivator, sort of filling my passion and also finding a industry that would support me. I started initially by beginning with a part-time university degree with the Open University. So I'm doing a bachelor's in computing and IT with a focus in software development. And then because it started sort of piquing my curiosity, I went off and I started doing coding boot camps and started building some of my own projects. I actually got involved with Team Unicorn, which was a rocket launch team with the OU for the Macrahanish launch competition in 2022. So I built our on-board computer and put all the sensors together for that. I also got involved with the BCS as a student member as well, which funnily enough, Dan, my big contact with BCS, I love him. He's fantastic. He reached out to me on Twitter because I was making some posts. It was Twitter at the time. He was putting together the BCS Pride member group, which they hadn't had one before. And so I was one of the founding members of the BCS Pride member group, which was great. So on top of all the other sort of exploring education things I was doing, I was also working with some of the most incredible people at BCS and volunteering. So yeah, it was just basically a case of I became a bit of a tech magpie. I pretty much saw anything shiny and I took it and I ran with it. So I'm currently working as a quality assurance non-functional test analyst, which sounds like a mouthful, but basically, to summarize my job as simply as possible, I will take a system, I'll throw as many users at it as possible, and I'll see what breaks, because the whole goal is to make sure that regardless of whether there's 10,000 users on the platform or 10 million users on the platform, everyone should have the same stable experience, and that's what I do, basically. The thing that gets me out of bed every day now is I never quite know what the next day is going to bring, in the best possible way, right? And the thing that excites me is that I get the chance to wake up every day and I get to decide how the day is going to go. I get to look at my to-do list and go, okay, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing, you know. In one statement, I would say that working in tech has empowered me and given me freedom that I didn't realize I could have at work. So, I mean, that's the sentence version. But by freedom, I mean, you know, I am actually working in an industry that wants me to grow, wants me to keep moving forward, and, you know, have the freedom to explore and not feel like I'm locked into this one specific path. I still very much have that attitude of saying yes to any opportunity that comes along my way. I'd love to continue the advocacy work that I'm doing, whether that be via hosting talks, whether that be sharing resources, whether that be working with professional networks, however that is. I'm also looking to my own development I'm looking forward to building out what I can do skills-wise and sort of continuing to grow and learn. I also I can't help it. I'm looking forward to mentoring and helping other people to grow and to join the tech industry who may have also not felt like they could have joined for whatever reason. But for me personally, I would love to go back and sort of see that journey as an outsider and see that growth and actually really recognize the amount of power and courage that it took. And, remind myself that, yeah, I actually did that.